Good evening and welcome to the Monday, November 27th Maplewood City Council meeting. I always like to start off with some news about the city, and I have to say I've got some really exciting news. I attended a meeting today with St. John's Hospital, and we know that there have been, a number of wonderful things that have happened at the hospital. They have a cath lab there now. The NICU is over there. But in the meeting that I was in today, they announced that they're preparing for a massive expansion of the hospital, which is really great news for us. The beauty of having our own hospital, it feels like it's our community hospital, but with the additions that they've done already, it now is considered a tertiary hospital, and it certainly has regional significance. And so that really is pretty cool. And I jotted down some of the numbers from the meeting. They're going to be putting in a new ICU, and we already know, council members, we already know that we approved the intermediary care unit. We already gave approvals for that, but both of those new units are going to be added to the hospital. They are going to expand the surgical suites from 8 ORs to 15 ORs, so they're basically almost doubling the number of ORs that they have. There's going to be, in the emergency department, they are going to be adding 22 patient bays, which more than doubles what they have right now. They're going to do a whole new labor and delivery center. There's going to be renovations of the existing rooms for support services like the pharmacy and nutrition. And over the next couple of months, I'm excited to say that we are going to be they're going to be inviting public engagement to the hospital, to different sessions where they're going to be talking about these changes and what they're going to be doing. I saw some very preliminary plans, but it looks absolutely beautiful. So over the next couple of months, I'm sure we can get it on our website when we learn from the hospital when they're going to have these listening sessions and community engagement meetings. I asked about kind of the timeline. I'm always interested in a timeline. They're working on funding right now, putting the funding pieces together. And they're projecting that by the end of third quarter in 2024, they're going to be breaking ground. So that is absolutely great news for our community. It's actually great news for this whole region, for the east side, because that is going to be the go-to hospital. So very, very important things happening in our city, and it's great to announce that. So the next thing I'd like to do is move on to the Pledge of Allegiance, and I think I have two reluctant maybe volunteers, but I certainly would be honored if they would help us out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Do you want to say your name into the microphone, please? Marcy and Bridget. Their dad is getting promoted tonight, so it's pretty cool. So thank you. Would you want to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. And Andrea, did you get their names? Marcy and Bridget. Okay. For the official record. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. City Clerk Sint, would you do the roll call for us?
Councilmember Juniman.
Here.
Councilmember Lee.
Present.
Councilmember Villavicencio.
Here.
Mayor Abrams.
I'm here as well.
And Councilmember Cave is not joining us tonight.
Thank you very much. Council members, is there a motion to approve our agenda tonight?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion? I see Councilmember Lee was first.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to add 2 items, Hmong New Year and then small businesses for council presentation.
Okay, great. Councilmember Juniman.
Award from the Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District.
Okay. Council members, we've had a motion and a second in terms of our agenda. Any further discussion? Then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Let's move on to the approval of our minutes from the November 13th, 2023 City Council meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman, the motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to appointments and presentations. We have our council calendar update with City Manager Coleman.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. On December 11th, which will be our only meeting in December, we're going to have a workshop to hear about zoning code language updates from community development, also a Purple Line project update, and a review of the North End route alternatives with Purple Line. At the council meeting, we will be adopting the 2024 budget. And then January 8th, right now we have it scheduled for Birch Run building concept. They would like to come talk to you about some improvements that they're making out at the facility there. Also, we're hoping to hear from the new owner of Seritage, either at the January 8th or 22nd meeting, whichever works for the new owner, so you can hear about his plans. Also, January 8th or 22nd, we're going to hear a first report from our consultants on the new Public Safety Training Center. So that'll be exciting to hear a little bit about where we're at with that. Also tonight, I do want to note that under the council comments, research translating of city policies, that has been completed, so that will be stricken on the next calendar. And tonight I also have a request from you this evening to have a discussion about what we do with the city manager replacement process. And I have talked to each of you individually, and I'd like to review collectively what I heard from all of you and hopefully get a sense of direction on how to go. So,
Can I just interrupt you very quickly, because those people that are listening may not be aware that Melinda has announced her retirement. We are trying to keep her here with us, but we also respect the fact that she's decided that it's time to retire, and we certainly respect that, but replacing her is going to be a challenge. But anyway, some people may not be aware of that yet.
okay, thank you, Mayor. So there were really three things or three options that kind of came out of my discussions with the council members. The first one was to really stay on the consultant kind of full-scale recruitment process, so that we do have a proposal from a hiring consultant to do that. The cost of that is about $25,000. And I have put them on hold until I have further direction from the council. The second thing I heard was that the city could do its own process. And there's many ways to do that. That could mean put an ad in the League of Minnesota Cities Bulletin. It could be putting it in the paper, that kind of thing. We have done that before, and we do that for many of our positions right now. That would be one thing to do, or second option. Also, the third thing I heard was to move forward with an interested former employee. And that employee is Mike Sable, which I think all of you that work here know him very well. And we would conduct a background investigation and prepare a contract for the appointment of Mr. Sable. So those are three options. There's lots of different ways to do all three of these things, except for the consultant, the full-blown consultant approach. Otherwise, these could be customized however you like. But those were the three options that I heard.
Thank you. Melinda, can you give us a little background on what we've done in the past? Because I think that might be helpful too.
Yeah, well, yes, I could be happy to. We have done lots of different ways to recruit city managers. I've worked for a few when I worked here before I was the city manager. And there have been there was a situation where the mayor just said, I'm going to appoint this guy, and took a vote right then and there, and we had somebody, so there was no process whatsoever.
That was many years ago.
That was many years ago, not this current
Not
council.
Please, I just want to make sure that that's clear.
We've also
Sorry,
had,
I was a victim of that.
Okay.
when I got hired, we did an abbreviated city process. and we didn't get very many applications, which worked out well for me. So it can go any way. Other times we have, if it was like, I would just say if Mike Sable was here right now, there probably wouldn't be a process because he's an internal candidate, and if the council is happy with his performance, we would just promote from within. And we've done that with the police chief recruitments. We've done some that have been external. Since I've been back, there have been 2 external police chiefs. Now we have Chief Beardeman, who was internal only, and we did have a process, but it was just for people who were working here at the time. There's no statutory requirement for the city council to have a process. So that's it. It really runs the gamut, but generally speaking, if we have internal candidates, we promote from within if we can, and it makes sense, and we have good quality people ready to go. Other times we would go to a consultant. I think the last time we used a consultant was when we hired Richard Fersman in 2002. So runs the whole gamut.
Thank you for that. Council members, is there anything else you wanted to add?
No,
about that?
that's
Okay.
it.
Council members, the city manager is the only staff person that we have any authority over. We have a city manager form of government, and so basically we have one person that reports to us. And I have to say that from my perspective, the city manager is a trusted advisor. It's someone that is responsible to speak with each one of us and to listen to each one of us. And it's got to be someone that we are able to very closely work together with, someone that we trust their judgment, that they have impeccable personal character, and it's someone that has a passion for the city. And I have to say that, that's not necessarily an easy job description to fill when we're looking at something like we're looking to replace Melinda. She has done just an absolutely amazing job. I have considered her to be a trusted advisor, and she has been such a help to me as mayor, and I'm sure that my fellow council members will think the same. I had the benefit of working with Mike Sable I think he was here for almost 3 years, and I would say that Mike and Melinda on many issues were pretty interchangeable, and I noticed that I observed the same kind of passion for the city and for our staff that Mike Sable exhibited when he was here, as I have grown to really appreciate with Melinda. And so, I can just tell you that my preference would be that when we have a known talent that has such a connection to the city, my preference, council members, would be that we bring back through an appointment process Mike Sable to be our city manager. And that, of course, there would be, background checks and such to bring everything up to date. But that certainly would be my preference because really that city manager is going to have to report to the 5 of us. Now, I did receive an email, council members. You have one. I made a copy, or Lois actually made a copy. For all of you, Councilmember Cave was not able to be here, and so she did send me an email over the weekend, and I'm going to read it for the record so that she asked that her wishes be known as well. Regrettably, I am unable to attend tonight's council meeting. However, I am keen to communicate my outlined priorities for the city manager position to each esteemed member of the council. I wish to underscore the commendable efforts of Melinda in fostering a positive work environment and cultivating strong affiliations with our staff, business community, and fellow state leaders. Upholding and augmenting these relationships remain paramount for the continued prosperity of our city. Outlined below are my pivotal prerequisites. An individual who recognizes the significance of strength training and remains dedicated to its implementation for all personnel. A candidate who acknowledges the importance of personally acquainting themselves with each employee, including incoming hires. A clear understanding of the strategic priorities outlined by the council. Demonstrated proficiency in negotiating with unions. We have received an application and expressed interest from a candidate whom I believe aptly fulfills all the outlined criteria for our city's advancement. That candidate is Mike Sable. I, along with numerous staff members, have collaborated with this individual and hold firm in the belief that their involvement will be profoundly beneficial for our city. Additionally, the potential savings of $25,000 in recruiting fees further substantiates the case for considering this candidate. I trust these considerations will be of value in my absence. Warm regards, Councilmember Rebecca Cave. I believe Councilmember Juniman was next. Were you next?
No,
or was
John Berry.
Councilmember Lee. I didn't catch who said it first. Was it?
John Berry.
Okay, Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, City Manager Melinda. You definitely have big shoes to fill. I definitely want to say that. Learned a lot from you in the last year that I've been here on the council, working with you on numerous important issues all across the city of Maplewood. I, on the other hand, I'm interested in going down the route of finding the consultant and having a consultant help support the city of Maplewood find a city manager. I've been a part of many executive search all across the city of St. Paul. I've been a part of superintendent search, principal search, executive director search for nonprofit and for-profit organizations. In many of those search that we've done, there's a proper way to look for a position as big as a city manager. Mike Sable, I have no doubt that he may be the most qualified, that he is a great candidate. We talk a lot about equity, diversity, and inclusion. I think this process is narrowing out a lot of candidates who may want to apply, who may want to be a part of our process in our city. Yes, he does support a lot of the visions that we have here for the city of Maplewood. Yes, he has been worked here at the city of Maplewood before, but saying that, we are limiting the many potentials and possibilities of other candidates. And going down the route of having a consultant would really open the door for many candidates and casting our net as big as we can across the country. We want to find the best candidate. And if Mike Sable ends up being the best candidate out of the pool, then I would be interested in hiring Mike. But this is the due process that we owe our constituents in terms of transparency, involvement, communications from what our constituents are looking for in our next city manager. It is not a small road, it is a big role. And so I am interested in going down the route of going down the consultant route, finding them to help support us. Yes, there are no requirements for us to have a process in place to find a city manager, but I think this is where, as a council, we need to come together and put a process in place. And if we don't have a process in place, then we need to hire a consultant to help support us in this process. So that way, to the community, to the people, and to all the candidates, to be fair to all the candidates out there, we are being fair and equitable to every single candidate.
Thank you. Councilmember Juniman.
As someone who's been here as long as I have, all I can say is, been here, done that, have the shirt. I think we are extremely fortunate to have basically an internal candidate that just doesn't happen to be here right this minute, who knows Maplewood very well and who demonstrated a really positive work ethic when he was here. And I see basically no point in spending the $25,000. And I see no point in leading other people to think that maybe they might get this job when we have a totally competent internal candidate. You can look at it however you want, but it's chaotic at best. When you open it up, it's a lot of motion, a lot of people in and out. A lot of people, you have to remember, they aren't really allowed to say anything about what they're doing to their current employers. There's a lot of things you can't reveal until you've ended up with a finalist. I just don't see the point in going through the motions with that when we know this man's work ethic and when we know that he matches up, as Councilmember Kay pointed out, with all the things that we are happy with in Melinda's performance. And I just don't see any point in going out and going what I call going through the motions. And if there's one way we could reach out a little, excuse me, and that is before the final signing of the contract, if we wanted to do a hybrid of what we have done in the past with searches. Back when in the Richard Versman days, it was before I was elected, I was on the resident panel, so I know what that's about. And then we also had staff members on a panel to question the different candidates. And I'm sure that Mr. Sable would be open and willing to doing this so that the staff has some say in where we think we're going. And we could do as we did before when we had a resident panel. It was first we went to people on our advisory boards to see if any of them were interested. And then we had 2 people at large who applied. So we could do the same thing with him so that he knows where we want to go and where we're headed. But I see no point in searching high and low for somebody wonderful when we have somebody wonderful who's wanting to come here.
Thank you. I like that idea of inviting him in for a type of interview prior to signing a contract. Councilmember Villavicencio, your light is on.
Thank you. I would have to lean a little bit more towards Councilmember Lee in the fact that I believe, as much as, I really appreciated Mike's work here in Maplewood. In fact, before he left, I asked him for any advice on being a better council member because I thought he did such a great job here in Maplewood, and I was sad that he left, but the fact of the matter is he did leave. And I do feel that in government processes, they should have a process that is equitable. And I have been a part of an executive director hiring process, and it was in a situation where you would think you know all the best candidates in the picture, but then there is somebody that comes up, and we ended up with somebody who was really, really amazing, who wasn't the usual suspect. And I'm so thankful every day that that process did happen, because we wouldn't have found him if we didn't use that process. And so I feel like even if we ended up with Mike, it's still important to have that process for transparency and equity.
Thank you for your comments. Council members, City Manager Coleman has asked for us to weigh in and to give direction to staff, and I think it's pretty clear that we don't all agree, which, we're all individuals, but it's clear and apparent to me that 3 of our council members agree with Mike Sable being our candidate and doing something in terms of a background check and some type of hybrid interview type of thing before a contract is signed so that individuals can meet him. It appears to me that that is the direction of at least 3 of our council members. And so therefore, I think we've given you some direction in terms of where we should go with that. So council members, let's, Councilmember Lee, any final words?
Thank you, Mayor. Because Councilmember Cave is not here tonight, she did send a letter, but she is not here tonight. I'm interested in having a formal vote on this. Does she have to be here to take her consideration tonight?
There isn't anything for us to vote on. This was, in many regards, what we do is we direct staff on the direction that we'd like to go. And there are 3 council members that are interested in having Mike Sable return if that would work out in terms of the background check and the normal kinds of things to update his credentials with the city of Maplewood. And so I believe that 3 have given direction to our city manager, and so we'll move forward with that. Going on now to...
One more comment, Mayor. I'd just like to express my disappointment in this process. We talk a lot about being fair, being equitable, being inclusive, and this process doesn't give our community anything at all. This process, though Mike may be a good candidate, I think we owe it to every candidate out there, and the expectation that we would set for Mike for any other job if he does get the job. As leaders of this city, that's not the example that I want to set for my city manager.
Councilmember Lee, thank you for your comments. I respectfully disagree with you. And that's, I guess, what we get to do, is that we're not going to agree on everything. But I think we've got some direction for our city manager. And so let's move on. Council presentations. Let's see. Councilmember Lee, you had 2 items, the Hmong New Year and then small business.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. And thanks to all the folks who are attending tonight and many of the folks who are at home this weekend, this past week. So this past weekend, the Minnesota Hmong community celebrated one of the largest Hmong celebration here in the Twin Cities area at the River Center, Royce Wilkins Auditorium in River Center. We had over 30,000 participants this past weekend. It was a great big event, pageant to dance competitions to singing competitions, and folks from all over the world, Hmong community members that attended that event. So tonight I'm wearing a traditional Hmong outfit consisting of a sao, traditional Hmong Lopraban, which is Lopraban province in Laos where my parents were born. So that's kind of what I'm wearing tonight in celebration of the Hmong New Year. So it's a great time of the year where a lot of the Hmong community members celebrate the year's bounty and harvest. So that's the first part of it.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. And I'll remind the folks next year to join us. So, all right. And the second item is the just quick conversation about small businesses here in our local community. A big shopping weekend for everyone all around the world, including myself. Went to did more shopping than I intended to this past weekend, actually. Just a quick reminder to have folks shop locally here in the city of Maplewood and here in the state of Minnesota. Just some quick stats for all of you. So a small business defined by the Small Business Association is a business with 500 employees or fewer. And of that, 33 million, about 33 million of them are small businesses here in the United States. And of those 33 million, we have about 525,000 small businesses here in the state of Minnesota. So I want to quickly remind all of you to shop local. I think it's important when you're out shopping, and it's so easy to just get on our phone and order stuff on Amazon.com, but think about the folks here in our community. When you shop local, you're supporting the small businesses here. You're putting food on people's table. You're hiring locally here. You really create an economic multiplier when you shop local here. So just want to quickly remind folks to not shop online and at the big boxes, but having it being a big shopping weekend to also shop here at many of our local businesses. So,
Thank you for
Mayor.
bringing that to our attention. Councilmember Juniman.
I have to let Councilmember Lee know that I was at one of our local restaurants this weekend that happened to be Asian, and there were like 7 tables of Hmong people who came in their costumes and their native dress, and it was really fun to see them all come in together, and they were having a really good time. So I was sort of there on the fringe. Okay, I'm pleased tonight to let everyone know that the Ramsey Washington Metro Watershed District has recognized the city of Maplewood once again for environmental accomplishments. We got a LEAP Award, which means Landscape Ecology Awards Program, and it's for the management and restoration of Jim's Prairie. And that's been going on for several years. A lot of it had to do with Carol Gurnis and some with Sean Finwall, and then there were several groups that came and helped plant. It's been going on over a period of years. And the awards committee, when they went through this preserve, they said it took their breath away to think that there was a prairie like this right in the middle of urban America. They were really impressed. So I have this award that we were given, and they asked that we display it at City Hall.
How nice.
Isn't that nice?
That's great.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much for that. Moving on.
Now the reason everybody's here.
We know that. We have a swearing-in ceremony for Fire Captain Paramedic Brett Mercatoris. Welcome, Chief Mondor.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the City Council. The fire service is steeped in tradition, some of those traditions that range over 200 years old. And while the Maplewood Fire Department strives to challenge many of those traditions while proactively meeting our community's needs, we hold on to some of these traditions, one of them being the badge pinning. Each badge is a symbol of a firefighter's commitment to serving the community and is a source of tradition and pride which recognizes the history of the Maplewood Fire Department. The Maplewood Fire Department's badge includes the employee's badge number, which honors their length of service, the letters GFD, PFD, and ECL, which represent East County Line, Gladstone, and Parkside volunteer fire departments, and the year 1997, which represents the year in which all these volunteer agencies combined to form the City of Maplewood Fire Department. Each badge also identifies the employee's rank, and tonight we get to formally recognize the changeover of Captain Brett Mercatoris' badge from firefighter to captain. Captain Brett Mercatoris has assumed his role of fire captain and will pledge to continue to protect our community while leading our organization forward and embodying our motto of service before self. At this time, I'd like to call up Brett's family, whom some of you've already met, and we will do his formal badge pinning, symbolizing his transition from firefighter paramedic to fire captain paramedic. Ms. Singh.
Come stand over here. Raise your right hand. I, Brett Mercatoris, solemnly swear
I, Brett Mercatoris, solemnly swear
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
to uphold the Constitution of the United States,
that of the state of Minnesota,
that of the state of Minnesota,
all ordinances of the city of Maplewood,
all ordinances of the city of Maplewood,
and the policies and procedures of this department.
and the policies and procedures of this department.
I will embody our values
I will embody our values
of integrity and teamwork,
of integrity and teamwork,
professionalism and accountability,
professionalism and accountability,
and excellence.
and excellence.
I understand my behavior on and off duty
I understand my behavior on and off duty
affects the reputations of all firefighters.
affects the reputation of all firefighters.
I will at all times
I will at all times
uphold the highest standard
uphold the highest standard
of a professional firefighter
of a professional firefighter
and the proud traditions of the Maplewood Fire Department.
and the proud traditions of the Maplewood Fire Department.
Congratulations.
Do we want to go get the picture?
You don't want to ruin his night?
What? Yeah, let's go do a picture. Let's go do a picture. We're going to do a picture.
Take a picture with council.
Yes, he does.
One of Captain Mercatoris' strengths is woo, so I don't think he would shy away from the microphone if given the opportunity.
I was thinking about the Vikings game.
I think you can hit it. Yeah. Yes. Well, that would be everybody but me.
We'll just let everyone sit down for a moment. Okay, we have one more item from our fire department tonight, our body-worn camera program. Chief Mondor, turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor Abrams, members of the council. Tonight, we'll have Fire Marshal Jerry Novak giving a brief overview of the fire department's implementation of our body-worn camera program for fire inspections and investigations.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I just want to give you guys a quick, brief overview of our proposal for our new policy. Looking at the body-worn cameras, just keep in mind this is just going to be another tool that we are going to utilize in our process during inspections and investigations for the fire department. So just quick, brief little overview with the policy. Currently, the police department does utilize body-worn cameras, and with this, they did need city council approval to wear them. That is a state statute. Currently, there is no state statute for fire departments to wear a body camera, but due to transparency with public safety, just want to give you guys a brief presentation so you're well aware of what's going on. And I'd like to cover kind of the current state of our fire investigations, what we're doing within the city, and then some of the benefits of utilizing these body-worn cameras. So there is a state statute on the fire side, 299F.04. I'm not going to read it to you guys. It gets long, but there currently is one in kind of an overview. It's any fire that happens, damage of $100 or more does need to be investigated. So currently, Maplewood does have 3 recognized fire investigators in the city of Maplewood itself. And with that, we do have multiple other partnerships. We work closely with the Maplewood Police Department, their investigators if there is an incendiary fire. We work very close with the Ramsey County Fire Investigation Team. Sometimes when fires get bigger, we can call them in and they'll assist us with investigations. And then with other different types of incendiary fires or suspicious fires, we do reach out and we will work with the Minnesota State Fire Marshal's Office as well. So utilizing these body-worn cameras can help us gain additional information when we have to pass it on when we're looking for some additional help. The current state of our fire investigations at this time is, so if we do have a fire, we interview all witnesses and everything's documented by hand. As anybody knows, when you're documenting by hand, things can get missed. We take photos, we start on the exterior, work our way into the interior, and try to document everything that we feel as an investigator is important. The investigations get handwritten, or, typed now, but they are done with, and then we attach all our photos. Having witnesses that have recorded, as with the technology of Ring cameras, or we know everybody has a cell phone and is recording stuff. If they try to transfer us information at this time, it's very hard for us to attach that information to our fire reports. And with the new body-worn cameras, they are going to be able just to email them so we can attach whatever they have right to our reports. And then reviewing cases for quality assurance is always subject to interpretation. Everybody always has a different opinion what should have been documented and what's not. So with utilizing these cameras, we will be able to document everything that we've seen. Some of the large benefits of using it, recorded interviews for all detailed report writing, so we would be able to go back and re-listen to any interview that was performed. Review footage for training opportunities, footage of everything we've looked at, regardless if we thought it was important during the investigation or not. And then adding additional footage, like I said, from the public, where they'll be able to email in over any footage. It'll help us with evidence preservation, and then with the learning process, also be able to make improved decision makers with all our investigations. Some benefits for the city is it's going to be objective record keeping. We'll be utilizing the same technology that the police department's already using, so we'll be using Axon, and then the retention schedule is set up the same way as the police department's records. And then this will also give us some better accountability to all staff. And then for the community, like I said, it's just going to be transparency with all the involvement with public safety, and then also I feel gaining public trust that everything will be properly documented. So just a quick overview of the policy. It's they'll be worn by all fire investigators within the city of anything $100 or more. It's going to be detailed scene documentation of what the investigator looks at, not just what's photographs. Like I said, if there's anything that we look at, it will be picking that up. Camera footage will be maintained the same as the retention months, for a minimum of 2 months up to 100-plus years or a lifetime of the case. All body camera footage will be reviewed for quality assurance to ensure proper steps are being maintained during our investigations, and footage can be utilized for training purposes for the investigation team or on unique circumstances. I know it's kind of brief, but if anybody has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation.
Thank you.
Or wait, Councilmember Juniman has a question.
When is this going to start?
Mayor and council, we weren't required to come in front of you, but we wanted you to be
Right.
aware before we implemented. So we have all the technology, we have the policies in place. So I'll meet with Fire Marshal Novak tomorrow, and within the week, we should have this rolled out.
And then I can't resist. Fire Marshal Novak is famous for another reason, because his son Jace and his grandmother are the all-time, without any doubt, top recyclers in the city of Maplewood. They go out almost daily and come back with bags of recycling from their part of Maplewood. So that, his claim to fame is not just for himself, it's his son Jace as well.
Thank you for caring for our community.
Cool.
We don't have to take any action on that, council members. So let's move on to the strategic plan update for the third quarter.
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Mayor and City Council. My name is Lois Knudsen. My previous title was the Administrative Services and Performance Measurement Coordinator. However, as part of redoing all of our job descriptions, we decided that maybe my title should be shorter. So my new title is now going to be the Senior Administrative Manager. But even though performance measurement is no longer a part of my title, it does not mean that I am no longer overseeing the city's strategic plan. That is still one of the major responsibilities of my position. So I am here to update you, give you the third quarter update from our strategic plan. Plan status and progress. As you can see, we're at 65% progress on the plan. Again, a reminder that this is driven by the measures at the action initiatives, which are the bottom level of our plan. The performance measurement part doesn't actually have any sort of progress bar on it. So I am going to be working with staff in the coming months to ensure that more of the performance measures have action initiatives, so this number could actually become a little more accurate than it is now. Just a reminder that some measures are annual and some are project-based and may take several years. So being at 65% at the end of the third quarter is actually pretty good. Right now, there's just over 11% disruption on the plan. The only major disruptions are in the area of developing a facilities rating system, and there are two issues here. The first is related to staff training on the cartograph software, and the second is trying to establish a funding source, because as part of the facilities rating system, it's part of our facilities management plan. So we need to try to figure out, as we identify needs, where would that money come from to deal with those things. Most of the minor disruptions are the same ones we've been dealing with in the last few months and quarters. ACELA issues in community development, hiring a crime analyst in the police department, which was a disruption in the third quarter, but currently at this time it is not, because they had interviews for that position and they have found a candidate, and they are currently putting that candidate through the background check. So hopefully we'll have a crime analyst very soon. Let's see what else. The Purple Line project is still on hold as the Met Council explores options. You'll learn more about those options at the next meeting. And then there's a few issues with rate of return on our investments, and that's just due to the stock market and fluctuating interest rates, things we really don't have any control over. There were also a few issues with tracking budget performance, and that's because our finance department is implementing a new financial software, so there's been a little bit of a delay in getting the bills and things input into the new system. This is our mission and value statement. Those are things that we did add this year. Our mission is to sustainably provide health, safety, and quality of life for all. And then the value statements closely reflect our strategic priorities. I'm not going to take the time to read through each one right now. In the area of community inclusiveness, we had many major events in our third quarter, and that included the Light It Up 4th of July celebration, National Night Out, Fishing with Friends, the August Celebrate Summer event, and Touch a Truck. The Touch a Truck event was originally scheduled for June, and that was canceled due to air quality issues, but was held on September 13th. The July Celebrate Summer event was canceled due to excessive heat, and there was not time to try and get that rescheduled with school starting and everything. Fire department staff participated in 38 community outreach events, and that is in the third quarter only. That's not up to that point. That is in the third quarter. They did that many events. And then staff continues to update all job descriptions, and they are evaluating them through a DEI lens. Environmental stewardship. At this point through the year, we have removed 107 ash trees from public land and city right-of-way. And there have been 306 replacement trees planted within the city. And then in our climate adaptation policy, the 3 priorities, the top areas we're working on this year are climate mitigation, updates to our green building code, and working on electric vehicle infrastructure. They're looking at different ways to get more charging ports within the city. Financial and asset management. Maplewood continues to maintain a bond rating of AA+ and a management score of very strong. We once again received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award for 2023. And we finished the street ratings this summer. And currently, there are 73.5% of streets that have a PCI rating, Pavement Condition Index, of 70 or above. I remember last year was the first time that we were above 70, and we were barely above 70. We've made a little more progress, which is great. Public Works asked me to remind you that that does not mean we are done with street reconstruction projects. As these roads are being reconstructed, other roads are deteriorating, so we do need to keep that in mind. This year, 3.25 miles of streets were improved. Our goal is to average about 3.5 miles a year, and currently our average is at 4.12 over the last several years. And then in addition to those 3.25 miles of streets, they also added over 1 mile of new concrete sidewalks within the city, and that was filling in missing gaps in the sidewalk network of Maplewood. Integrated communication. Our communications team collaborated with the fire department, and they worked on translating materials into the Karen language. And then staff worked with the Karen community to have a translator on hand, and they conducted successful surveys to try to gain better knowledge of the community's fire safety information, the knowledge that they had. We completed a live broadcast of the 4th of July fireworks, and that reached more than 100 sustained viewers. And I know they had different cameras, and it was kind of a multi-camera event thing, and I think it went really well. And then our communications team facilitated full staff cultural agility training, and all employees went through that within the past few months. Operational effectiveness. Wellness participation after the second trimester was at 80%. We'd been higher than that, and I'm not sure why it dropped off, maybe because it was summer when they completed it, because the trimester, I believe, ended in July. But we're on track. Our third trimester is ending right now, so we'll have to see where that comes in at the end of the year. Our IT department, they continue to provide a timely response to help desk request SLAs. SLA means service level agreements. So that means they're making sure everything is up and running as we need it to be. And the goal is to do that at least 90% of the time, respond within a timely manner, and they responded 93.2% of the time, so that's great. And then we don't have any updated crime stats. I don't know if anyone noticed that. There have been massive disruptions to our crime data reporting, and it's because our records management system, which is called Zerker, and a lot of other communities use it too, it's not communicating with the state system. So we're unable to submit our crime data, and we submit it to them, and then they give us a report back giving us all the stats. And that system has been down since June, so hopefully that will be dealt with soon, so we can get some more updated crime data for the city. Targeted redevelopment, London Lane project with 119 new affordable housing units opened this summer. The JB Vang project was approved for a 65-unit affordable housing project, and additional funding sources have been secured for that project. Beacon Interfaith's 40-unit permanent supportive housing project at Gladstone House property was approved, and then the American Cooperative with 57 units is expected to start construction next spring. So lots of things happening in redevelopment in Maplewood. That's all I have for you tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions or hear any comments that you might have.
It looks like the mayor had to step away for a moment, so is there any other questions or comments? Councilmember Juneman?
Thank you. I just wanted to point out in the environmental section that Maplewood has been at the top of the Green Step City Awards for 7 years. So we're waiting for them to come up with a new award so we know how we can move forward.
Well, and our award that's in the case back there, there's nowhere else to put them. So yes, they need to do something different.
Yes, they do. But we're keeping up in spite of the fact that they don't know what they're doing with an award.
Any other comments? I'll hand it back to you, Mayor, if you're okay, if you're ready.
Thank you, yes.
Okay.
You know, it's that,
I believe you
Minnesota
need
congestion.
to accept the report.
yes, we needed to make a motion. Would someone like to make that motion?
Motion to accept the strategic plan report for third quarter of 2023.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Juneman, the motion to approve the third quarter strategic plan report. Is there any further comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the report. Next, we have the consent agenda items. We have 7 items tonight. Would someone like to make a motion?
Motion to approve the consent agenda G1 through 7.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Villavicencio, the motion to approve G1 through 7. Further discussion, I have one. I want to highlight number 7. Councilmember Juneman, what would you like to highlight?
I actually wanted to pull number 7 to discuss it.
And discuss it separately? I'm amenable to that.
Thank you.
Okay. So let's take a look at, there's a motion, excuse me. Well, first, I think we have to deal with the motion to take number 7 off. Is that correct, Mr. Beatty?
Yes, Madam Mayor, that's correct.
Okay, then we've already had a motion and a second. What would be the next step?
Well, I think Madam Mayor, Council, the appropriate motion, I think, would be then to vote on that motion and then someone make a separate motion, perhaps just to deal with 6, items 1 through 6, and take number 7 off.
Okay, so then it requires an amendment of the motion.
Yes.
Okay, then a friendly amendment to take number 7 off and handle it separately. Is that all right?
Yep.
Okay, I see nodding heads, so we're going to go with that. Is that sufficient, Mr. Beatty?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So all those in favor of consent agenda items G1 through 6 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Number 7, Ms. Parr, do you want to give us some background for this item, please?
Certainly, Madam Mayor, members of the council. As you likely recall, the city approved the conditional use permit amendment for Menards to construct a new building and warehouse on March 9th of 2020 at their site at 2280 Maplewood Drive. The project is not totally complete at this point, and there are a few outstanding items that staff is working to get addressed. One of them is related to screening along an opening on the south side of the site near County Road B. If you're familiar with that extension there's a pond there, and then there's parking just adjacent to it. I was there this afternoon to confirm that that fence has not been constructed as of yet. But the vegetation that is shown in the plan, it's going to take a number of years for that to get to a point of maturity to really screen to the extent we need. And for that reason, we found it inadequate, and we asked Menards to add that small extension there. They have agreed to do that. However, we have not seen that take place. We've had a number of communications that have not, for some reason, been able to be executed, and for that reason, that opening remains, and we're getting nervous getting this late in the season, obviously. Another item that we are concerned about is related to grading and drainage, and this is in relation to the property to the northeast of the site at 1180 Highway 36, so basically on the opposite side of the site. I'll maybe let our Public Works Director jump in on this one.
Mr. Love.
Yes, Mayor and Council. So as part of the 2020 engineer review of the proposed site, it was noted that the proposed perimeter wall was not to block flow of stormwater from the adjacent property. It was also noted that runoff from adjacent properties had to be accommodated. In August, we were contacted by Countryside Volkswagen about an issue with the drainage not being managed, that way. And then we did send a communication to Menards requesting that they deal with this, find a remedy to this drainage issue. We requested, to get a plan of what they propose to do. We haven't seen that yet. And then we sent another letter here recently, which is attached to your agenda report, again, requesting for them to do that work.
Okay.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, I will add, we have a rather large escrow currently that we are holding for the purpose, this exact purpose, for assuring that the project site work is completed to the satisfaction of the council and that it's per the specifics of the plan that you approved and the CUP and the building permit and all the other things that went with those approvals. It's noteworthy this is a complicated site in regards to the orientation of the site has changed. A number of things have changed, and we knew that along the way there would be some tweaks that would need to be made, such as accommodating where sight lines showed more things than we had hoped would be shown and the screening not adequately meeting that. So if ultimately we don't see that work done, we can use those resources. We don't like to do that. We typically don't have to do that, but please be assured that we are keeping track of this and continuously reaching out to the developer, to the owner, to make sure that these things are completed. We're coming upon a season which obviously, as you know, is not going to be hospitable for some of these things to take place in another month or two. We're going to see it change, and we're going to have too much snow, I'm afraid. And so for that reason, we're asking, normally when we bring it back to you and it's not done, we ask for 6 months before we bring it back to you to review again. In this case, knowing the seasons, we are asking for 8 months before we bring it back again for you to review, just because we know nothing's going to happen this winter.
Mayor and Council, with the drainage item, we are looking for something to be addressed prior to the spring. Countryside Volkswagen has indicated their concern is with the snow melt. So something could be done yet here this fall, early winter, with the final restoration work being done in the springtime.
Thank you, staff. Anything else from staff? Okay, I'm eventually going to call the, is someone here from Menards? Okay, I'm going to call you up in just a minute, but there are questions from council members. If you have any questions for staff, let's do that first, and then I will bring up the representative from Menards. But I didn't catch who was first. Councilmember Juniman, your question?
It's not for staff, thank you.
Okay. Do you have a question for staff?
I do.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. Question is, I know 8 months it seems a little long, and you mentioned exactly what I was just thinking about was I think 8 months is a little long, but I would like to see something done sooner. So I had the number of 3 months in mind to make sure we're addressing this right away. This is not something that we can push off. Come June, you would have gone through the snow melt already, the spring shower already. I just don't think that's fair to that business that they're residing next to. So I'd like to maybe see if 3 months is something that's acceptable or not from staff's perspective.
Madam Mayor, Councilmember Lee, when we said 8 months, we weren't intending that nothing would be done over that time. We'd like to see it done immediately before the freeze really takes shape. It was more of 8 months before we came back. And it's noteworthy as well, even when that 8 months, and if you do say, yes, that's fine with the review, and 6 months or a year, or it doesn't need to be reviewed further, we're still, as a staff, as we always do, going to hang on to that escrow and make sure that the vegetation is well established. That's more than one growing season. We want to make sure that it's been watered. We want to make sure that it's been maintained, as well as feeling secure in regards to the topography in relation to the drainage. Those are things that we're not going to look away from. It's necessary for us to fulfill the CUP and the building parts of it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, could the representative from Menards please join us? Could you give us your name and your title with Menards?
Yeah, absolutely. Name is Nick Brenner. I'm a real estate representative for Menards. Address is 5101 Menard Drive, Eau Claire, Wisconsin. I appreciate being back here. I think it's been a couple of years since I've been here, but I just want to say a couple things. One is we did build this site in accordance with the plans and the approved engineering plans. I don't want that to get lost in all of this. We have followed those. I do want to echo the statement that this is a very large, complex site. It doesn't matter, how well everything is engineered, how well the plans are put together. There are always things that come up when it actually gets implemented that you have to adjust for. The fence being one of them. The fence was not required under the plan that was approved. However, talking with city staff, realizing some of the concerns from the neighbors, we did agree to put that fence up. Again, wasn't part of the approved plan, but we're willing to be a good community member and go ahead and put that up. I wish I could stand here today and say it's up, because I really wish it was. But finding contractors to do that small of a project at this time of the year is difficult, because they all have bigger projects they're trying to squeeze in. So just rest assured that, yes, we are intending to put it up. We have the materials to put it up. Someone just needs to get out there and do it, which should be very soon. From the stormwater drainage perspective, same thing. The engineers, it was approved, it was designed. Obviously, seeing how everything got implemented is different than it is on paper. With that being said, we have been working. We've sent people out from our office to investigate. We've sent our engineer out to investigate. We believe we have a plan to tie a storm line into our yard system and put an inlet on the other side of the fence to help drain that property. But that is being reviewed by SEH right now, who is the civil design engineer for the Menards site. They got to do some calculations and make sure that everything's good. So I think we have a plan. We're working through it. Hopefully it can get implemented quickly. And alleviate any problems from that aspect of things.
I appreciate you being here tonight. I'm not going to have a whole lot of sympathy. I mean, you are a home improvement store, and you no doubt have the materials at least to address the plantings and the fencing. So I'm not going to be all that sympathetic. I do appreciate that it was a large site. I appreciate the fact that Menards closed for a whole year in order to demolish and then rebuild on that site. But these are really pretty important things, and I guess from my perspective, it's about being a good neighbor. And the fact that there's drainage that's impacting a business right next door, quite frankly, is very troubling to me. And I think that should be the number one priority, because, I've certainly been trying to pay attention to how much snow we're going to get. No one really knows, but we generally get quite a bit of snow, and I know that you've got a very big parking lot, and there is the potential to create some real problems for your neighbor. So I guess I'm going to go through each one of these and ask you for a timeline, because I'm kind of inclined to go with Councilmember Lee and look at if it's not holding the CUP up, and for 8 months, then maybe it's something that we need to get at least a report before the end of the year about what has been substantially completed, and maybe what we want to do is bring it back to before the council and take a look. If there isn't substantial completion on some of these priority things, then we take a look at what action we can take concerning the CUP. But I guess I want to give you an opportunity to talk about the timelines. So in terms of the drainage issue that's created with your neighboring business, with the Schmelz auto business there, what is your timeline to get that repaired? We know that we've got a very short window here.
Yeah, and let me just say, it seems like the issue stemmed from the snow melt of last year. We weren't notified this until the end of August. So, I mean, I'm not using that as an excuse, but it's also saying that we would add 4 months there over the summer to work through this. So I just wanted to put that out there as well.
Okay, but that's still 3 months, I guess.
Yeah.
3 months,
I get that.
and so it's not going away.
Yep, and we are working with our outside consultant to do it. This is not, Menards doesn't have the engineering expertise to do it on its own. I hope that can be respected. We do have to hire the guy that, designed it or someone equally as qualified. I would like to say, yeah, you make us come back here in a month, we'll have a better answer for you. But I can't sit here and to give you a definite timeline when it's a third party that has to do the design, do the calculations, go through the city, go through the watershed. Those are a lot of people to review a plan to say exactly when it can get implemented and if it can get implemented and if it will work. There's a lot of questions out there that are being answered right now.
And I'm concerned about the spring melt and the impact that it's going to have on that business and your liability exposure. I would think that Menards would be very concerned about that. But, I mean, that's just, I throw that out there. In terms of the fencing, what kind of a timeline do you have for putting up the fencing?
We're hoping that it gets done here within the next couple weeks.
Okay.
So again, if you make us come back here in a month, my hope is that it's done.
Okay. And in terms of the plantings, I know I have received communication from neighbors that Menards did a very good job at the beginning when the plants were new of watering the plants, and after that, not so much. And so my big concern is, I mean, you have a garden store at Menards as well. I know I've purchased many things there, that we're going to expect that those plants are going to be, if they aren't going to, revive in the springtime and come back up, then we're going to expect that those be replanted and replanted in a timely fashion. I'm glad that we have sufficient escrow in order to make sure that that gets done.
Yeah, and they will be. We expect that from our contractor who was hired to plant them, maintain them. So we expect that as well this spring.
Okay. Ms. Parr, I'm going to, Councilmember Druneman has a question too, but I wanted to ask you in terms of, I would like to get a report back before the end of the year. So what might that look like in terms of shortening up? Because, waiting until June or July, depending on when you count the 8 months, and I understand that they're still going to be working on things. I don't want to wait 8 months to get a report on what's happening with this. So in 1 second, Councilmember Druneman, do you want to go next?
Maybe you don't want me to. I have to say, I've been sitting here a really long time. And every time Menards does a project, this is what happens. And in my estimation, you are not a good corporate citizen. Sorry. I wish I could say you were, but you're not. And not you personally, but somebody up higher doesn't seem to care enough to make sure that what we say needs to be done is done. And so they make you come and take the gaff and say when you think it might be accomplished. I would suggest you take this back and shove it uphill, because I'm not pleased with how Menards always does these kinds of things. And you have now impacted a business nearby, and I can't help but think if the roles were reversed, Menards would be mighty unhappy. So put your shoes from his feet to your feet. And you need to go to your boss, or your boss's boss for that matter, I don't really care, and say, Maplewood is hot to trot. We want these things done. You have hemmed yourselves in with the weather. We had a long fall. August was a long time ago. And if you had to rely on an outside source, have you ever heard of turning up the heat? If you're going to pay them, they need to come across for you. I'm really tired, I gotta say that, of every time we do something with Menards, something like this has to come back. Staff has to spend some more time. We hear the same thing over and over. The last time you remodeled and you put in plants, they died because nobody watered them. Blah, 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 blah. It's the same stuff all the time. I'm asking you to go to someone and say, we need to solve this. And quite frankly, I don't care what other town in the world has a Menards store that lets you get away with it. Makes no difference to me. In Maplewood, we want it done right. And I'm glad we have the huge escrow. If I had anything to say about it, we'd say right now you're not getting it back, no matter when you do the work. Because you had time to take care of this, and it hasn't happened. You need to quit stalling, and you need to quit blaming other people not getting back to you or whatever the heck it is. We all deal with that when we have something done. When somebody tells me they're going to do something and they don't, their phone number comes up rather rapidly in my memory bank. You need to make it a priority. And we guaranteed those neighbors way back when you first were going to expand the store, which is, by the way, a very nice store, that we would do whatever they needed. So this one section of fence has now become an issue. Give me a break. You sell the stuff. You don't have anybody who can put it up? Seriously? I mean, really, this is almost laughable if it weren't so annoying. This has to be taken care of. And in the long run, you need to be good neighbors. That means keep track of the drainage and that things are going well. The one fix might not do it, so keep an eye on it. The trees and shrubs must always be maintained. They are supposed to become a screen besides the fence for the neighbors that we guaranteed you were going to do what you said. I was, if you recall, because you were here that night, I was really leery. And I guess I was justified in being leery. Make it happen, please. And I don't care where you go with it. Like I said, kick it uphill. They make you come and stand here and take our guff, but I'd rather hand out the guff to the guy who's making the decisions, or not making them, as the case may be. Please make it happen.
Appreciate your comments. I already have.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I just also want to add to that, too, that these are probably not going to be the only two items that are going to come up here. As the store age, things are going to come up, and the expectation from the city of Maplewood is that you will also take care of those other items as they come up. You mentioned about next month. We have a council meeting on the 11th of December. Is that something that, a timeline that you can get for us? Are you able to provide to us timelines by that time about when things are going to get done?
I can work with the city staff to help get that done.
I'd like to hear from Ms. Parr in terms of what our options are to get a reporting back to us. I recognize we only have one council meeting, and that's already going to be a budget hearing, and it's going to be a very big meeting already with a full agenda. So we might have to wait until the new year.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, yes, you have the right. Typically, we like to bring them back within the allotted time frame. You have the right to extend that. So if you wanted to say January 8th, we report back, that would be totally acceptable. And it might work out better based on the calendar you
So
have.
January 8th is our first meeting in the new year?
That's correct.
Okay.
Otherwise, it could also be an FYI item if you preferred, that Melinda sends out. It's totally
And so what
up to
do we
you.
do with the CUP motion before us tonight?
You can delay that motion if you like. I'll look to our city attorney to chime in if he has anything he'd like to add, but you're welcome to, I'll let him speak to it.
Well, Madam Mayor, Council, I think Ms. Parr is right. You can simply table this item and take no action on it, expecting a report back for your first meeting in January the 8th, and then you can take this item up again if it seems appropriate.
Okay. And let me ask you this. If there is not sufficient progress and these issues are not resolved, then what are the repercussions of our council deciding that we are not going to approve a CUP?
Well, Madam Mayor, Council, you have approved a CUP. The question is, what are the remedies? I think we've talked about a lot of them tonight. You have a good deal of escrow, which can be used to remedy those things. Ultimately, the nuclear option is to revoke the conditional use permit. Now, that's I'm not suggesting that's what you want to do or where you'd go, but ultimately that's the remedy that the city has with regard to conditional use permits. They're valid so long as the conditions agreed upon originally are carried out or adhered to. What we're talking about tonight is the failure to complete some of those conditions that were imposed 3.5 years ago. So there are a range of options, and I think I would wait until we see what the facts on the ground are before staff makes recommendations as to specific options.
I appreciate that. I wanted to know the full gambit of our powers in terms of how we can address this. So, council members, what I would propose doing is tabling the CUP review until January 8th for it to be discussed at our January 8th, 2024 council meeting.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to table the CUP review for Menards and review it again January 8th, 2024. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Lee.
Just really quick, our staff work really hard on working with businesses in our city. If they have not heard any responses back from Menard, our expectation as a council and as a city is that you guys will respond back to our staff in a timely manner. So.
Yep, and I try to get back to staff as soon as they reach out, so.
Thank you. All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you very much. Moving on, we have no public hearings tonight, no unfinished business. We have a new business, an on-sale wine license for J-Pot Min Inc. City Clerk Sint, this is your topic.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So for your consideration tonight, we have a request for an on-sale wine license for J-Pot Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot at 1845 County Road D East, Suite 100, formerly the Pizza Ranch. And they have also applied for a 3-2 on-sale, which does not require council approval, and the combination of the wine and the 3-2 licenses will allow them to sell strong beer also along with the wine. So upon council approval, and once Building, Health, and Fire have given their approvals, we will notify the state, as a state inspection and state approval is also required in order for the city to issue the wine license. For purposes of the approval, a background investigation was conducted on the business owner and manager, Zhang Zhu. Nothing was identified that would prohibit the issuance of this license. Lieutenant Steiner has also met with him or will be meeting with him. I'm not clear on that if it has already happened. And Lieutenant Steiner will go over the general expectations of the sale of alcohol. And so with that, we are just looking for a motion to approve the issuance of the on-sale wine license for J-Pot Minnesota Inc., doing business as J-Pot Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot at 1845 County Road D East. And he is, Mr. Zhang is here and available for any comments or questions. He was a little apprehensive with his English, but I said that's fine. He can, if council wanted him to speak, he would be welcome to.
Thank you. Is he here? Good evening and welcome to the council.
How are you? Any questions?
Council members, do you have any questions for the applicant or for Ms. Sint? Councilmember Juniman.
Thank you. Have you met with Lieutenant Steiner yet?
Oh, not yet. Well, I'm planning to meet this week.
Okay, and when you do, listen very carefully, please.
Mm-hmm.
We do not want you to sell liquor to underage people.
Yes, we're trained.
So you have to be well-trained, and you have to be on the guard all the time. So whatever he tells you, please do.
Sure, thank you.
Is there anything else that you would like to add for the council?
Not very. We're just happy to be here.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thank you for choosing Maplewood to be your place of business, and we welcome you having your business here, and we thank you for being here in Maplewood. So
thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
I'm looking forward to trying it. Okay, council members, there is a motion. Would someone like to make it?
Motion to approve the on-sale wine license for J-Pot Minnesota Inc., doing business as J-Pot Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot, located at 1845 County Road D, Suite 100.
Second.
Moved by Lee, seconded by Villavicencio. The motion to approve the on-sale wine license for J-Pot Min Inc., DBA J-Pot Korean Barbecue and Hot Pot, located at 1845 County Road D East, Suite 100. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We have one more agenda items. It is the Ramsey County Cooperative Agreement for the White Bear Avenue improvement. Mr. Love, this is yours.
Yes, Mayor and Council, if I could get the PowerPoint up. Ramsey County is leading a road improvement project on Larpenteur Avenue, White Bear, and North St. Paul Road. So I have a little location map here that shows the roads that they're going to be reconstructing. They're shown in red. The project includes improvements to the roadways, utilities, sidewalks, as well as ADA upgrades and new sidewalk. The agreement covers the responsibilities for both Ramsey County and the city of Maplewood related to these improvements. The overall project is estimated at $12,791,000, of which, and that includes design, construction, and inspection. Maplewood's cost share of this is $955,000 and will be funded through the municipal state aid. With that, the staff does recommend proceeding with the motion to approve the attached cooperative agreement with Ramsey County for these improvements, and I'm available for any questions.
Council members, does anyone have any questions?
I only have a comment.
It's about time?
Better late than never.
Yes.
That would be the county timeline.
We're really looking forward to it. Councilmember Lee.
I just wanted to say how excited I was to see Larpenteur and White Bear on there. That is a really, really, really bad corner.
Yes.
Yes.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, and if we can add into there too, there's a little bump, and I've heard this from many constituents too. When you're going up the hill on Larpenteur, right before you hit the theater, there's a little ditch or a little, I don't know what you call it, but a little
Depression.
Yes.
Yeah.
And your car, a lot of suspensions will hit there, and even at 30 miles an hour, you feel the bump there. So I'm so excited that this is getting done.
Yes. Yeah, very glad. Council members, is there a motion?
Motion to approve the attached cooperative agreement with Ramsey County for the White Bear Avenue improvements, City Project 19-29, and direct the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement. Minor revisions as approved by the city attorney are authorized as needed.
Second.
I think it's 1926.
19-26.
Oh, sorry, 1926.
Okay, correction. Okay, moved by Lee, seconded by Juniman. The motion to approve the attached cooperative agreement with Ramsey County for the White Bear Avenue Improvement City Project 19-26 and direct the mayor and city manager to sign the agreement. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Thank you very much. And we have concluded our agenda tonight, so thank you all. And we are adjourned. One meeting left before the end of the year. Good night, everyone.